prepared no questions to that. Nigel, you can just go ahead and introduce yourself.
All right, what's going on, everybody? My name is Nigel Hammett, and I'm here with Tea Time with Key.
Nigel's funny. Okay, you gotta do a real introduction. Where you from? What you about?
All right, so I guess I can start by saying originally from Baltimore, Maryland. Went to North Carolina A&T and just graduated last year. And I guess a little bit of what I do, I currently work at Facebook as an account manager, working in business and advertising. And on the side, I have my own business, which is called Nigels Canvas, LLC, where the canvas is never blank. It's full of opportunity, specializing in resume design, career development, and professional enhancement.
So Nigel does it all, y'all, and this has been my mentor since before I even got to campus for real. So, damn, Nigel used to let me wash clothes in his house. He used to drive me around all the time too.
Yeah.
So this is my mentor though. I look up to him. I ain't prepared a whole bunch of questions for real because this is my brother. We talk all the time, and I just getting to pick his brain for a little bit, just be a good combo. I think it'll be a good combo. So working at Facebook, what's like your 5-year plan? I feel like you have.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of people ask me, and congratulate me all the time for working at Facebook. And it's a huge accomplishment. The reality is working in the tech space is very difficult, especially for people, that look like us. It's not a lot of us. So when I talk about my 5-year plan, it's really just to learn and grow. I'm at Facebook working on marketing, digital advertising, and I went to college for engineering. So, I want to use those skills and eventually launch them into my own personal ventures and my own business. So whether that be continuing with the career development, continuing my resume business, and enhancing my own personal brand as well. So learning the stuff from Facebook and just taking it to the next level with myself.
So how do you feel? So with your resume business, I know just from being on your Instagram, you helped a lot of people get jobs and stuff like that and get opportunities. How does that make you feel? Does that feel like you feel like you have to do this as a service to the community type of thing?
Yeah, it makes me feel good. It honestly keeps me going. I tell people all the time, people that really know me, know that, for me, it's not about the resumes. It's just more about the impact. Anybody knows that's done a resume. It's not the greatest or most fun thing in the world. It's a lot of tedious work. Makes your eyes hurt. You gotta squint and type. But at the end of the day, I know that it's a skill that God has blessed me with, and so I know that it can help others. So I always would do it if somebody needs it.
Did you see yourself being an entrepreneur before you became one? Did you always picture yourself being one?
Not really. My freshman, sophomore year, I was focused on getting an internship. I was really focused on just being a student leader. I did SGA junior class president, but it wasn't really until I just started reading more, being around other entrepreneurs, or even seeing some of my own parents. My mom and dad both had entrepreneurial ventures, and I'm like, you know what? I think I have what it takes to kind of launch my own thing, and the perfect time is college.
Right. So what would be some advice that you would give to not student leaders, but people in school? Because you inspire me so much, and I always talk about this with my best friend, because you really capitalized off your college career. I feel like you really for example, me and her, we're entrepreneurs and stuff, but we don't stay involved in school now. We feel like we're half in, half out, but you did it all. You really used your network at school. How would you give advice to somebody to be able to do that same thing, to really utilize their college career?
For sure. I think it's just about trying new things. I think the mistake a lot of people make is they try to be just one thing, or one way or one faceted. For example, you have, SGA or SUAB, and those places are great, but it's also important to develop your own personal brand as well. So for me, I crossed, I was a student athlete. I played tennis. A lot of people don't know that, but I never did one thing for a long time. I was just in and out, show my brand, show my face, and just added and kept stacking. So you don't have to do all of those things, but the great thing is they're all available, especially at A&T.
So how is it building a LinkedIn brand? Where would you tell somebody to start at when it comes to that?
Yeah, for sure. For me, I started on LinkedIn a few years back, and I noticed that nobody was using the platform. You got Twitter, Instagram, YouTube is for the most part very dominating. A lot of people haven't tapped into LinkedIn. The biggest myth that a lot of students think about LinkedIn is that they think that it has to be extremely professional. They think that they can only share some huge announcement. And that's it's not true. So LinkedIn is kind of a blend of Instagram and Twitter to me, just with a professional twist. So the first place to start is cleaning up the profile, getting a nice headshot. And a lot of times people are like, Nigel, I don't have a nice headshot. I'm like, listen, do you know any photographers? Like, yeah. I'd be like, all right, bet. Find a white wall, throw in $5 and be like, yo, point and shoot.
Right.
And then send me the picture. That's all you need for a professional headshot, guys. You know, too many of our friends have cameras. Make your profile, have something that stands out, add content. It doesn't matter if you had an internship or not. You've done homework, projects, community service. The LinkedIn is your professional digital resume. So, you know what I'm saying? You got to bring it to life. And then you can post, like you can make content, talk about your book that you're reading, talk about your sports team and what it's doing in the industry. Anything that you do, I don't care if you sell food, you make clothes, you do fashion, anything you can talk about on LinkedIn is dope.
So with that being said, how did you get all these internships? Because while you were in college, you had a lot of different internships, co-ops, and they were like in different fields, I feel like. So talk a little bit about like the different opportunities you have there.
For sure. So I worked with like Abbott Laboratories. I did some like a stint at Amazon, General Electric. And the biggest thing that I think worked well in my advantage is I simply asked. You know, like I went to conferences, I opened up my mouth. I made it my business to meet people. I think a lot of times we're always in this shell and we want people to be like, nah, they need to meet me. Like they need to come up to me. But it's just like at the end of the day, you can't operate like that. So I would always introduce myself. And like I said earlier, not just, hey, how are you? But hey, like, where are you from? Like, how was your trip to get here? Like, okay, like the best thing that you want to do is you want to find points of relatability. That way it's like when I go back at the end of the day after meeting 1,000 people, oh no, I remember Nigel, he's a Ravens fan and he likes to do engineering and he likes to make spaghetti.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Just because we had that conversation. So everything that I've gotten, everything I've been able to achieve all started from just a conversation.
Right. And that's a big point you made about just asking, because for me, I always had a great time at the career fair because I was realizing what people weren't doing when they were talking to recruiters, and they wasn't asking like, how can I get an interview?
Yeah.
So right after people would talk, I would be talking to somebody, I would talk, good conversation. People will walk off right after. I'll be like, so how can I set up my interview? And they'll be like, I'm glad you asked. Like, people wasn't even asking. I'm like, y'all just missed out on that.
Yeah.
I had so many interviews after career fair just from saying, how can I get an interview, and standing out. So how would you tell somebody to navigate the career fair too? Like, what's some good tips and tricks you feel like for navigating the career fair?
For sure. I got a video on that, but I can give it to you guys. Just a few quick tips. So number one, obviously come dressed, come professional, come prepared, come ready. Have the resume on deck. But here's the hidden gems. Here's where people go to the next level. You got to prepare early. So the people that's going to win at the career fair is either a few ways. Either one, their resume's on fire, they got a 4.0 GPA, etc. That's only 5% of people.
Right.
So here's how the majority can win. You should write down all the companies that you like 2 to 3 weeks before the career fair. They give the information out. You should go on LinkedIn. That's why we talked about having a LinkedIn. Hit the recruiters up. Personally apply for the jobs. Now here's what's going to happen. Most of them not going to respond. But however, when you did that, when you talk to the recruiters at the career fair, now my conversation is different.
Right.
It's not, hey, how are you doing? What does your company do? It's no, hey, how are you doing? I've already applied and I've hit you up. What's the next steps?
Right, that's good.
And you just be quiet.
Right, facts.
And then that's where the magic happens.
That's good. So how did Nigels Canvas come about? How did you create that?
For sure. I mean, I just noticed like a blank, like an open in the market. Like, for me, I knew how difficult it was. The hardest thing for students is going from nothing to that first experience. Because we all know it's like they say, how can you get this job when you need experience? We like, yo, I don't got no experience. So it's just like, I just started working on my own resume, tweaking it up, just like really finessing all the stuff that I did. And I noticed like once I made this popping resume, people was taking me serious. So, all I do for my clients and the people that I work with, I treat it like myself. I'm like, if this was me, here's how I would write it. Here's how I would do it. And if I can make it better than what it came in, most of the time, and it's also the confidence. Like you walk around knowing your resume's on fire, you're going to walk with a pep in your step, you're going to be smiling. So that's how it started. And then, it grew from there.
No, facts. I swear, because when your resume on fire, you really do be walking up in there. Because I remember I went in and I had got my resume printed on like a little bit of thicker paper one time for the career fair, and I put it in them plastic sheet thingies, and people would take my resume like, oh, I like this, because you getting a stack full of regular paper, like they never gonna remember that just this regular paper. So I definitely that was a good tip for me. That helped me. So what would you say to someone like in terms of networking, like because this I was about to say the N word, my bad. This guy can network like hell. Like, I don't understand how you do it.
Yeah.
Like, everybody know Nigel. How do you like network like that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, first of all, you gotta have, you gotta be a person that's memorable. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I think about it like a career fair. If I'm a recruiter and I'm about to see 2,000 kids, like, why should I remember you? And that's why I always ask myself. So, like, for example, just like little stuff. Like, I don't always say, yo, what's up to people. Like, even when I talk to people, like, I'll ask them, like, how are you doing? Specifically, like, yo, what's new? Like, what you doing in the summertime? Like, all those small little things is a way for me to keep tabs on people and showing that I care. And I just check up on people. Like, for me, I'm real big on birthdays. Like, if you got a birthday, I'm sending you a text. I'm giving you a shout out. I'm showing love. And that way, it's just like all the people that I meet, I can just keep going with.
Right.
Sometimes I'll just like randomly call people, but I just show up. I put a smile on my face, and I always look for what can I do for somebody else.
Right.
I just try to give more than I take, and I think people appreciate that.
Right. I feel like you're really good at leaving a lasting impression with people. Like, people always know you for being like good, being somebody that helped them and stuff like that. I feel like that's important. I feel like I need to do a better job of doing that, making sure people know that I was trying to help them and stuff. But what was I about to say? So what else do you want to do? And where do you see yourself in like, I didn't mean to curse, in 10 years? Like, I feel like it's so hard to even plan right now. And I feel like your life, because me and Nigel talk every day, so I feel like your life is growing so fast. Like, can you even imagine where you want to be in 10 years?
Nah, it's tough. It's crazy because like sometimes you don't even want to put limits on where you can be. Like, we don't even know where we about to be next year. But ideally, I definitely do know that I'll be in an entirely different space. Hopefully, have like a family one day, be like more established. But really just like a full-time entrepreneur, having multiple businesses, and really being a lot better than what I am right now in terms of like managing my time and just allowing my assets and money to work for me. I'm at that building stage right now. So.
So how do you like look over stuff that you're about to invest in? Because I feel like you're one person I always can go to for investments and stuff. But how do you, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I feel like look over is the word, but like, what is that word I'm looking for? I can't think of the dang word. You know what I'm trying to say? How do you research and stuff that you're trying to get into and make sure it's the good investment?
For sure. I mean, a lot of times, I have like a board of directors. Like, I got people like yourself, other friends that I can consult with, and people that I really trust that have done those things. So I'll, ask a few things over with friends and family. But the main thing is just doing my own research, understanding like if it's a stock, okay, what is the company going to do? And also understanding my own intentions. Like right now, I'm in the stage, I'm trying to wealth build or climb out of what we call like the student loan trap, So for me, everything right now is super short term, trying to catch up or get back to zero. And also understand we're super young. So the biggest mistake you can do is just wait. Like, we all are young 20-somethings. You should be having your money down on something. So it's just like, my money's pumping and growing, and the goal is for me to get back to zero. That way I can keep building not only for Nigel, but also for my last name. Right.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, one of my friends, he's scared to like take investments because he's like, he wants it to be perfect before he invests. And I'm like, it's never going to be perfect before you go into anything. Like, I can see your fear, but you definitely have to just take that leap of faith, especially while we're young, because he's scared to fail, basically. And I'm like, we gonna fail. Like, that's a part of lessons, and that's okay though. You got to make sure you just make it a learning lesson and stuff like that. So being from Baltimore, like, how does that fuel you to really keep going?
Yeah, I mean, it fuels me a lot. I love my city. I love when I come home. It's definitely interesting coming from Baltimore to A&T, like a huge difference. But at the end of the day, it keeps me humble. Like, every time I come home, like, different things are going on in the city. So it definitely gives me like a good drive. And, I appreciate different things that I saw and encountered. Because I think we all need a little bit of adversity. And so it just makes me appreciate things, just the little stuff.
And going back to the conversation, well, just from us investing with each other and stuff like that, and just that conversation of us being in our 20s, we got time to fail. How give us some more like input on being young and having that time to just experience stuff and invest in stuff and have time to take losses.
For sure, it's crazy, y'all. Like, legit, especially for my people listening in college, in their early 20s, this is the time to try different stuff up. This is not the time to be reserved and scared. Like, at the end of the day, I think I saw something that, for somebody that started investing at 18 to 20 years old, just like a regular, like, government stock that's going to earn you 5% a year. That person's money would be 2 to 3 times more than somebody that waited till they were 30, 35.
Wow.
Just with that same principle I talk about in life, there's really you're not going to lose anything by going for it.
Right.
The same thing applies for stocks. The same thing applies for internships. Or even on a small scale like relationships. So I take that same mentality and just apply it. So for me, it's just like I got a lot of student loans. So I'm like, trying different businesses out to get there. At the end of the day, it's like we early in our 20s, we could be chilling for the next 5-6 years. We could party, we could get lit every single day and not care. And to be honest, we might be okay. But it's the people that's like working now, the people that's grinding now, the people that's being risky, trying different things, learning, reading, all of that's really gonna be like when they're 30, you're gonna be asking them like, hey yo, what did you do?
Right.
And, we're gonna point back to this video
like,
and we're gonna be like, this is what we were talking about. So
right.
for the people that have no idea about investing or no idea about money, like I recommend just like reading, like YouTube, like we have all them resources available. There's no excuse why we can't be at least a little bit educated.
Right. And then having a little sister, how's that? Because Nia doing her thing regardless, but how is it like having a little sister and trying to inspire her and keep her motivated to keep going?
Yeah, shout out to my sister Nia. If you're watching this, much love from Big Bro. But having a little sister, I know we all have siblings, older and younger. It's cool, especially when they have the opportunity to go to the same college as you. So I always tell myself, I'm like, all right, all the stuff I didn't do, I'm gonna make sure like she can do. So like, or she's able to see. Like for example, I didn't get a chance to go out of the country. So I'm like, all right, bet. Now my little sister, she got this trip lined up to Panama in the summer.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's
so
good.
It's like that's how I am honestly with like all of my younger people. Like all the stuff I wish I could have done, if I see that they have a shot, or even the stuff that I did do.
Right.
All right, here's what you gotta do.
Right.
And I'm just like, I just give it to them.
Right. That's good. And then the last thing I want to talk about is, do you remember? I haven't seen you on Twitter. Do you be on Twitter now?
From time to time.
I'm about to say I don't be seeing you on Twitter like that. But last week it was this big debate on Twitter with this lady had basically tweeted. She's in her 40s. She tweeted she spent her 20s working 60 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah, Sheldon.
Aisha Sheldon, I think. She spent her 20s working 60 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
She also talked about how she wouldn't have went to school if she would have acquired student loan debt. Like, she was just rapping for real. And to me, I looked at it. First of all, she was just saying what she did.
Right.
And people was getting, like, retaliating and being so mad. Like, I wouldn't have worked that much hours. And I also don't think they was realizing that she was saying that she was working for herself 60 to 80 hours. So how do you feel about, because I feel like one thing people say is, we don't have the same 24 hours. And in reality, like, we really do. And me and you was just having a conversation on the way here. How do you feel about people making excuses for time?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I've been guilty of it. We all have been. But the reality is we do have the same 24 hours when you really think about it. It's just like we definitely have different responsibilities or excuses on why you don't get something done at the end of the day. Like, for that example, on Twitter, she was talking about she works so much. I've been following her on Instagram for a minute. She's a beast, has a full real estate portfolio. And I think the concept of that message is that she took her 20s very serious to build and grow to the point where she's at now. And it triggered people. Because, there's a lot of people of like our age in our 20s that's not on that wave, that might not be taking things serious. So people get mad when you say something like that alarming. So I love that message. I don't think that may work for everybody, but again, that was just her thing. And I would challenge people. It's like all about what you want and happiness at the end of the day. Like, money isn't the solution, but like just think about what makes you happy. If you're comfortable with making X amount and this is the case, great. But if you want more, you say you want this and that, but I see you doing something different. It's like now you disrespecting yourself, and you probably won't get there at this rate.
Yeah, I always say to make sure you're doing everything you do it with intention and focus on the bigger picture. And that's what my goal is for next year, is everything I do, make sure that it aligns with my bigger picture of everything I want for my life. And like you're saying, not everybody wants to do these things that we're trying to do in our 20s, but as long as you know what your bigger picture is, still move with intention. If you want to party right now because you know how you want your 30s to be, that's fine. But right now, we doing what we got to do because we know how we want our 30s to be. But Nigel got somewhere to go. I don't want to keep him talking all day. But we're going to do a part 2 soon. We're going to have the travel vlog, so we be traveling together.
Yeah, where we going next, Keith?
I don't know. I told you we trying to go to Cabo. You bluffing. You talking about Houston. Nigel talking about he going to be gone that weekend. You always gone. No, spring break. We got to plan something spring break.
All right, say that. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you. So I'll see you guys in the next episode of Tea Time with Keith. Bye.